New Jersey voters are also being asked this election whether they want to borrow $400 million more for open space purchases and historic preservation. A coalition of some 130 groups kicked off a campaign today to get the ballot question passed. Environment correspondent Ed Rogers has that story.
At a park along the Delaware River in Trenton, the Keep It Green Coalition kicked off its campaign for approval of a ballot question that asked for $400 million in borrowing for open space purchases, along with farmland and historic preservation funding. The effort has bipartisan support.
Part of the importance of this bond question is involving the public, getting the public to say, this is the type of state that we want to have in the future.
In March, the Garden State Preservation Trust allocated the last of $200 million for Green Acres purchases. The coalition says some 75,000 acres would be preserved with the money, including key watershed areas in the Highlands. Some of that money would be used to help offset the equity farmers lost when their land was put in a preservation zone.
So it has been an important tool for compensating the landowners up there who've lost their development rights. And we've had an important clause that, makes them do a dual appraisal where they can compare post and pre-Highlands values, and they get offered the better of the two appraisals.
Since 1961, New Jersey voters have overwhelmingly approved Green Acres ballot questions, but in 2007, a statewide question was okayed by only 8% of the vote. And the head of the organization that helped defeat a stem cell research funding ballot question that year says the group will be opposing question number 1 this fall.
Well, people across the state of New Jersey have to be very concerned when you have a state whose debt is teetering on $46 billion, the fastest growing debt in the nation. We have the highest taxes in America. We're staring down the barrel of a $10 billion budget deficit. Employees are being furloughed, and these people want to borrow another almost $500 million for what they call as open space. I just think we cannot afford it at this time.
None of us want more debt. None of us want more, more tax revenues to have to be concerned with. However, that having been said, look at the studies. For every dollar that's spent, you get a $10 return. What kind of government program possibly could there be where you see that kind of a positive economic turnabout?
Meanwhile, the state's largest environmental group, the New Jersey Environmental Federation, with more than 100,000 members, says it's taking a neutral position on this ballot question. The group's leadership agrees with the need for more open space funding, but doesn't agree with the source. Ed Rogers, NJN News, Trenton.